Hello everybody and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, the little bell icon if you want to be able to get alerted for when we have future videos, and also feel free to hit the like button. For those of you guys that are returning to the channel, it's good to see you guys again. So in today's video, we're going to be primarily focusing on Bitcoin. Got just a brief little touch I want to take a look at again on Orchid, aka OXT, and see what's going on with that. It's a big project that I'm really curious about, and I know a lot of you guys have subscribed to me in the past in relationship to that. So I just want to kind of see where it's at. But we have some news in relationship to Bitcoin that's both positive and negative. And this is where you guys need to be aware. I'm not a financial advisor. Everything I say is for entertainment purposes. You should do further research on this stuff anyways before you actually go and make an investment yourself. And the golden rule of investing, never invest more than what you're willing to risk to lose. First article we have is actually in regards to Anthony Pompliano, aka Pomp, right? If you guys don't know who he is, he's a big proponent, supporter of Bitcoin. He's talked about it a lot. You can find him on Twitter as well. Really nice guy. He does his own podcasts on YouTube and stuff. He's been a lot of different places talking about this. So there's a guy named Jim Cramer. And I went ahead and highlighted this section right here. So Bitcoin bull Anthony Pompliano may have just persuaded Jim Cramer, the outspoken host of CNBC's Mad Money, to invest in crypto. So for CNBC, this guy, Jim Cramer, he's been there for quite a while, and he's talked a lot about the stuff in the financial district, and in the past, he's spoken negatively about Bitcoin. But what this is specifying is that he's actually now bought Bitcoin, and he's changed his perspective. So it's another one of those people that were on this side of the fence, they were totally against it, and they have a lot of people that really follow them and pay attention to what they're saying, right? And then now they've decided to come over to this side. So a lot of the people that follow him are also going to start saying, okay, he changed his perspective. I really respect this guy. Maybe it is something legitimate. Maybe it is something I should look into. In a September 10th tweet, which is today, Pomp claimed to have converted the man who once stated that Bitcoin BTC was like, quote unquote, monopoly money in a recording of his podcast scheduled to be released on September 14th. His statement appears to have been confirmed by Cramer, who retweeted Pompliano immediately. So Anthony Pompliano tweeted this out, just convinced at Jim Cramer to buy Bitcoin. Reply to this tweet with your best meme or GIF to welcome the world's newest Bitcoiner. And one of the people that retweeted it was Jim Cramer himself. So that is actually a good bullish indicator. Next thing that we got, on-chain data signals increasing Bitcoin activity, right? So if you're seeing a lot more movement in Bitcoin, is that a good sign? Is it a bad sign? Is it something mutual? So let's go ahead and dive right into that. Quote here, this was by a gentleman named Kai, who had sent out some information, or Key, I'm not quite sure how to say this, Crypto Quant CEO Ki Young Ju, I believe is how you say his name. The number of BTC transferred hits the year high, and those transactions are not from exchanges. Fund flow ratio of all exchanges hits the year low. Something's happening, possibly over-the-counter deals. This also happened in February 2019 when OTC volume, or over-the-counter volume, was skyrocketed. I think this is a strong bullish signal, but this isn't a guarantee. That's one of the things that's kind of being specified behind this. So kind of on the flip side, Bitcoin on-chain volume is not increasing or hitting any highs. Even by applying the most basic change adjustments uncovers that the increase in volume is just quote-unquote obvious change moving back to the sender. This is not BTC changing hands and not real economic throughput. Just wanted to point out that this is not the case. Volume is in fact flat. These are just huge amounts of change BTC. And if you actually go take a look at the chart here, you can see that volume is pretty much flat, except for when we had that big drop down. Everything's just kind of slowing down overall. It's trend downward. We're going to take a look at that a little bit more here in just a minute. So the point is just the non-exchange / non-miner entities are moving their funds by evoking multiple transactions. Over-the-counter transactions is just one of the possibilities. On the side of it being potentially bullish, this ends really well. This is kind of the conclusion you should pull away from this, the takeaway. Since miners tend to sell Bitcoin in the over-the-counter market, many over-the-counter deals involve miners selling Bitcoin and whales buying the mined Bitcoin. Such a cycle reduces the amount of Bitcoin that would otherwise be sold on exchanges and also decreases selling pressure. right? So think about it. If you're not doing over the counter and you want to go buy Bitcoin, where are you going to go? You're going to go to an exchange. Now, you can only buy what's actually being sold. So if there's not a lot that's being sold at the time, those people that do want it, they're going to have to pay a higher price because there's only so much supply. The supply is limited like this. So what this is basically saying is that hypothetically, if this is over the counter in its situation, that means for everybody that is buying on the exchange, the price is likely to increase up because there's less that's actually being supplied. A lot of that goes onto the exchange comes from the miners themselves. So if the miners said, you know what, I'm not going to put it on the exchange, I'm just going to do it directly with these people, get paid a flat rate between me and them, they have it, cool, and then anything else that's left up there, everyone else wants to fight for it, the price is going to go up. And then at a later point, if it's more lucrative for the miners because of what's going on, then they might say, you know, I'm not doing over the counter this time. I'd rather do it over here on the exchange because of the amount of rising price action that's going there. I feel that I can go faster through my outputs of what I'm doing than what you're trying to offer me, unless, you know, or I don't have enough to kind of fill the demand that you're looking for. And so it's not beneficial for either one of us to do such a small order, right? I could just do it in the short term here and make a huge profit gain instead of waiting the time to build up this big portfolio of a bunch of Bitcoin that I'm mining just to try and sell it to you again, which could be at a much higher price and you're not interested in that anyways. So looking for short-term gains, right? They do accumulate after a while, but at some point the miners, they have to take a profit. This is something that is negative against Bitcoin and all of cryptocurrency space. It's looking at the value of the dollar. Now, if the value of the dollar goes down, a lot of people look to stores of value. Gold, silver, right? Stocks, sometimes people are getting that. That's not really considered a store of value. But as far as store of values, you got gold, silver, you got cryptocurrencies. Those are the big ones, especially gold and Bitcoin. So in this instance, if the value of the dollar is starting to go up, then people start to say, you know what? I think it's okay for me to have cash on hand. I'm going to go ahead and sell my other assets and put it back into the dollars. I want to see what else I can do with the dollars, especially when you look at it in comparison to other countries' currencies. Then this starts to go into Forex, also known as foreign exchange, which is a whole other trading basis that people can use. They use things called like pips, I believe it is. I haven't done Forex much before. I've looked into it in the past. But yeah, it's something like in regards to pips or pips. I'm pretty sure it's pips. Dollars poised to gain steam, and that's bad for Bitcoin. Quoted down below here from a leading cryptocurrency trader. My thoughts on DXY. Now, I'm not a fan of descending broadening wedges, and this isn't the cleanest example out there, but I think it could play out. Probably one of the rare instances you'll ever see me post a broadening wedge-ish like pattern chart from yesterday and today. So you can see that typically in a descending broadening wedge pattern, you can see that there is a reversal, and that breakout that takes place kind of tests the higher level, the B level, in the sequence, and then it has a further continuation up. DXY finally finding support. Keep an eye on this chart. If we regain the top level, expect Bitcoin, Ethereum, gold, and silver to fall further. This person is throwing everything in the same boat. Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrencies, and then you have the metals, gold and silver, to fall further. And this would break right above this point here, which is he set right around the 91.41. 41? Yeah, I believe it's a 4-1. Odds of another round of fiscal stimulus for the U.S. economy dropped on Thursday as senators headed out of Washington for the weekend following a partisan split over a slimmed down package proposed by Republicans. If there's no stimulus package plan, well, a lot of people before, you know what they did with their stimulus checks? They went to Coinbase or they went to other places and they bought Bitcoin. Coinbase had actually reported a massive increase of purchases in Bitcoin for specifically $1,200 right around the last time of the stimulus checks. So it would be bullish, in my opinion, for Bitcoin if there was another round of stimulus, because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to do the exact same thing. They're going to take that extra check, they're going to drop it right into buying some cryptocurrency. Talking about the stock market, So if we go over here to the news, it's mostly negative what's being displayed here. Motley Fool title: Is the stock market about to crash again? Investors Business Daily: Riskier than a bear, why this market is so dangerous. Washington Post: The stock market is detached from economic reality, a reckoning is coming. It's funny how Washington Post is titling that, but people have been saying it's been detached from reality now for like a good 2 months. CNBC: As markets face a notoriously rough month, Jim Cramer says it's good to have some cash. 2 top growth stocks to buy in a market crash 2.0. Stock market today: Dow, S&P live updates for September 10th, and then stocks are back in sell-off mode. Former Fed Chairman Alec Greenspan and 2 others on what could be next. And then this talks about the same thing we are kind of talking about before about the stimulus check, and everything's kind of hindering on this ledge, waiting to see what they actually say, and that could have an impact technically in the stock market as well. So a lot of these are actually focusing on what could be the upcoming negative sentiment and push down of the stock market itself, and some of them are just kind of other topics. But a lot of people are like, yeah, you guys need to be aware that we're really looking like it should be dropping down. This is way too much influence into the market. So let's go take a look at the market. What happened with Dow Jones? We're looking at some of the main players, okay? Dow Jones down 1.45%. The S&P 500 down 1.76%. NASDAQ Composite is down 1.99%. So the 3 main people, guess what? They're all down. Curious to see what happened with Tesla. I think Tesla went up a little bit. Yeah, Tesla went up 1.38%. Here you can see it actually had dipped below for just a minute there and then actually started to come back up before the daily close. Apple, we'll go ahead and take a look at that as well. Apple's seen another 3.26% drop as well. So as well as what Tesla has been doing, and earlier today it did have a good little push up yet again. The fact that it's pulling down, we might see a further continuation down if the rest of the market is seeing a pullback too. A lot of people trying to take their big profits that they had in Tesla with this major run that it's had before it's too late. A lot of people could get panicked and end up dumping their money. That's also known as FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? A lot of times FOMO is buying in, but you could have a fear of selling off too, not wanting to wait too long. Let's go ahead and take a brief moment here and take a look at Orchid. So Orchid, aka OXT, and then I'm going to show you guys what is going on with Bitcoin here as just kind of a finalization. So I know some of you guys are watching this video wanting to get to this part. So taking a look at Orchid in its previous history, I had set up this Fibonacci retracement, and this trend pattern has been changed. I had mentioned before that if we broke above the resistance, the top line right here, and we have 2 set standard days, that's a stronger indicator of it still being bullish, of the price continuing to go up. As you can see at this exact moment, it's kind of on a thin line. It's not really going much in either direction. It's technically down just slightly. But looking at the 3rd day, the 3rd candlestick, what happened? It was bullish. It continued up. In fact, if you would have actually sold it at the top here, it would have had a nice little gain. Reaching just, it looks like at the same level as what happened on September 8th. So it retested that level. That's a good indicator showing that 37 cents on a bullish sign is something to kind of keep an eye on. It's tapped that twice right there. And if this has a continuation further down, then just be sure, if you want to be able to take your profits, if you're looking at it from a short-term perspective, we came in, I'm not sure where you guys did your buy-in at, right? But even if you came in right here and we saw that it started to have that breakup here on the 2nd day, if you saw that it came across right here, even if you bought in at the very end of that day at 34.58, as long as you stay above 34.58, then you would still be in profits right now. It could have a further continuation up, but if you just wanted to make sure that you gained something, then that's something to take into consideration. This line had been pushing closer towards that 21 EMA. This could have a potential pullback down. Let's actually readjust this chart now, since the time frame has also changed on us here, and just see a little bit more of where we have some consistency. So if we set that up as our top line, pushing right across here, we could be potentially seeing a little bit more of a consolidation for a longer period point in time. And in this regards, I would actually say, since we're starting to see this uptick, that we can pull this down here and slide this across, and now we're getting more of a symmetrical triangle. Actually, if we do that, then it really looks like, whoops, what did I just do? I'm not even sure what I just did. I clicked right click and then I must have clicked something else. That was interesting. So you take a look at this right here. Let's go ahead and pull this away for the moment. Off to the side there, you can see this climb pushing up. Everything's meeting once again at this point. We're on the verge of something else happening yet again. Could go up, it could go down in the symmetrical triangle. Break that down right there. It doesn't really actually make that much of a difference. Even if we reestablish different points of consistency, having more than 2 points up top, down in the bottom we got one set on the back here. You could even say that there's multiple that are forming along that line, and then this whole entire line essentially is falling across that too. So yeah, guys, I would definitely keep your eyes peeled here for the short term. See where this is kind of at. Let's fix that just slightly right there. Right now, we're just kind of filling inside that space. It might drop down if it filled all the way down to this. If it didn't break through, which we often see a large candlestick pattern down, which even considered to this would still be pretty long. If we saw that break and touch the bottom form support, that could see a drop down to 33 cents. If it decides it wants to climb back up, especially as we're seeing a trend pattern where the lows are actually becoming new higher lows. Although Bitcoin has also been seeing a rally. So Bitcoin pulls back, you could see this pull back very well. If it continues back up here, I would still keep an eye out for around the 44 cent is a major high. Shorter term, a high we look at around 37 cents. So breaks 37 cents, I'd be looking at 37, 41, 44. Taking a look at Bitcoin now, just kind of wrap up the rest of this video. This video is longer than I thought. I keep thinking that I'm going to be not having enough content to talk about, and the next thing I know, I've got a lot of stuff that I keep talking about. So I do apologize if these videos are kind of long for you guys, but a reminder, if you guys are enjoying this video and you're new, please don't forget to hit subscribe. We're trying to make our way over to 1,000 subscribers, and we do cover a lot of different cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin news especially, and we'd love to have you come back and hang out. If you haven't hit like yet, please make sure you hit like. Looking over here, you can see this green line. I actually did this the other day. This was just a concern that I have. It's a big hypothetical I'm kind of playing with, but I've been seeing in the past for the 21 EMA, it kind of forms this double top before it has a drop down. And seeing where we're at right now, just kind of pulling back a bit here. It seems like we hit a pretty high. We didn't hit the 14,000, but we did get into a third high, right? And so based on that, I'm wondering if we might have another retracement back up and then a further continuation down like what we've seen in the past here. As it is right now, we are still in that ascending wedge pattern. It's got a lot of room space between that high and the low. A lot of consolidated space though on more of a micro time. Passing through like this, it hasn't broken below the level of support. We haven't broken below $10,000. Everything's been hovering right around the $10,300 the last couple days. If it breaks below 10,000, still keep an eye out for that CME gap. A lot of people are still suggesting that that's a possibility. Other people are just kind of looking at things right now and saying like, hey, over the counter, what's going on? A lot of whales are owning a lot more Bitcoin. 1,900 people own 1,000 or more Bitcoin. That's almost 2 million. That's almost 2 million Bitcoin amongst just 1,000 people, which is going to be technically more because there's going to be people like what Grayscale basically did, right? They've got almost 500,000 Bitcoin. Almost 500,000 Bitcoin they possess. And then you look at people like Satoshi Nakamoto, right? Was it 1.1 million Bitcoin that's reportedly estimated that he has? What about those other wallets that haven't been touched for years? The ones that the hackers, there's an article just the other day that they're trying to get. It's like $650 million or something that they're trying to see if they can crack this wallet that hasn't been open for a long time. So there's wallets that definitely have way more than 1,000 Bitcoin. And if you don't own a full Bitcoin yet, in the long-term perspective, the demand is continuing to increase. The people that have the big money, they're continuing to grab what's available. So it's going to be harder and harder for people as time goes by to be able to get a full Bitcoin, especially when, guess what? The big financial institutions, they're not really doing over the counter anymore. Everything's starting to transition to the exchanges. So they're going to be dumping their big money bucks over on the exchange, trying to buy what's available there. And if there's not a lot that's available, supply and demand, boom, shoots way up. And yeah, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. I do appreciate all of you guys that are returning. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is going to be happening here pretty soon with Bitcoin, with the stimulus checks. I'm curious to see if you think that we will get another stimulus check. Do you still feel hopeful on what's going on with Orchid? Do you think it's going to have a big pullback, right? Or do you think it's just going to keep falling along in this kind of sideways pattern like it's been doing way back here, and it's just kind of destined to be in this long period before anything ever happens again? Any other news that you guys think? The dollar, we talked about that. Do you think that the value of the dollar is going to break above this and we're going to see a decrease in gold and silver and everything else? Because do remember, though, even with inflation, that the printing of more United States dollars, right? If all the other countries, their currencies are doing even worse because they're also printing, and for some reason they're printing so much, but more than what the U.S. is doing. So then the U.S. is technically now more strengthened in comparison to them, even though both are just doing outrageous amounts of things, right? So in that regards, do you think that this is potential? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next episode.